let their feelings get involved. They don't let their biases. They don't let their feelings of grandiosity or self worth necessarily get involved when it comes to their arguments. So they're going to belittle their emotions, their bias, and up the objectivity of their arguments, which is
I'm
something
watching this video that
that
Winston's mom
they also
recommended.
have what's kind of an ethical optimism. They're optimistic about other
You know,
people's
he's
feelings. They're
he's
not too worried
really
about pissing people off.
quite right about a lot of things, but he's not right about, like, for example, he attributes to the function ni the words I want, but obviously that's an fi thing. He attributes to te caring about what other people know, like, or whether or not other people are correct rather than actual te stuff. I thought I'd stream a bit here. This is going to be a short one. I just finished watching the baseball game. U.S. won. Dominican Republic, they just couldn't get any, they could only get one run across. And accordingly, I think we're going to have a hard time to win that game. Hey, you want to go outside? Here you go. So Winston's mom recommended this. This guy actually has quite a few subs. I think he's got like 12,000 or something.
Function which is always going. They're critical as well of others' argumentation. They're not going to assume what you're saying is true. They're going to break it down. They're going to be critical. They're going to assume you're wrong, that you have misbeliefs.
No, you don't assume they're wrong. You
don't know what you're saying, that you're illogical. They're going to come from a very pessimistic
expect them to behave appropriately with words, and they don't. So I don't know if there's going to be any attendance at all here. This is the, I don't know, like fourth live stream of the day or something. But I figured as long as I'm recording this thing right now so that I can make another Type Police video, and I'll do a better job of it this time. I didn't do a terrible job last time, but.
And then we get into the weak spots, things that, they're very good arguers, they're extroverted, they have a lot of energy when it comes to arguing, they're not too worried about making people mad, they like to speak the truth, they like to argue, they like to, criticize other people, they assume others are wrong, they're not too worried about being rejected because of an argument. There's all these little things that make
it's kind of weird. One would think that indeed that I would assume other people are wrong. It still kind of surprises me every time, in a way. That's the only real explanation for how I could expect otherwise. Come on, computer. And I know that I'm not the spokesperson for all the ENTPs or anything. But I just want everybody to be reasonable, fair. When people like give me pushback for on things that I think are obviously like self-evident or what have you, and it annoys me, it's because I'm not assuming people are wrong. This guy saying the ENTPs assume people are wrong. But again, I'm not necessarily speaking. I don't necessarily speak for all the ENTPs or anything. Not necessarily all the ENTPs are going to be similar to me in my approach. But I think that's a reasonable, perhaps wrong conclusion to draw, that ENTPs assume other people are wrong. The reason I get argumentative is because I'm assuming you're not. And then you turn out to be, right? Not you specifically, but whomever. I take no pleasure at all in watching other people be wrong. But they seem to take pleasure in being wrong. So this type police thing idea for type police internal affairs, I think it's a very good idea. And also there was a comment that last on yesterday's video that said that basically noted a difficulty in telling exactly what was being policed there. Am I policing the guy? Am I policing the channel? Well, the main reason why there's that difficulty in determining that in last night's video is because I accidentally left off the final, or didn't. I don't even know how it got deleted from the video because the final clip was the exit song that was there, but the part where I actually throw the other channel in type police jail and talk about problems with the way they type people, that little chunk got somehow eliminated. So I'm pretty frustrated with that. And I'm not going to re-upload that same video with it fixed. So accordingly, my frustration has driven me to try again, perhaps. Maybe tonight, but I'm definitely going to prep it out to try again tonight, and we'll see if it plays out that way. I'm currently recording the whole video in chunks so that it's manageable sized pieces for me to excerpt clips from rather than the whole. If I'm trying to excerpt clips from this whole video in Windows Movie Maker, it's too cumbersome.
Their experience as well. ENTPs don't care about your comfort. You might not have to care about their comfort as well. Get in their face. Be loud. Be objective, of course, and stay calm. But don't be afraid to make them a little uncomfortable, to present new things in the moment, to be very cunning in the moment. They like time to prepare. ENTPs like time to predict.
I mean, we like time to prepare. Well, we're certainly more effective when we do prepare, but I think that most accurately, ENTPs prefer to do something like SPAR, which is an event and debate that's short for spontaneous argumentation. You get the topic, you're debating like 5 minutes later, and that's always my favorite. Also, my strongest event of all, when I was competing, was not actually policy debate, although I was an excellent debater, but rather it was impromptu speaking, because improvisation is implicit too in EDOMs. Hi there, Stockholm City, Sweden. Welcome to Mariposa County, California, home of Yosemite National Park. Are cognitive functions hard to prove? Well, it depends what standard of proof you're looking for, what kind of proof. So, from my perspective, most everything that I've said about that I regularly say and have said for a while, but not too long. Like if you go back too far in my talking about functions, then I say wrong things. But those things are satisfactorily established from according to my criteria, which are strict. Okay, so. But however, I've not published, say, any kind of papers on it, nor have I gathered data in a way that should be convincing to anybody, unless they've done the data analysis themselves, data organization perhaps, like Fly Guy has organized my typing videos. It shouldn't be too difficult to prove if you're, say, simply asking what's the best explanation of personality, because at least cognitive functions is observationally so. People do pay attention in different ways. Knowing's different than determining something, for example, right? And whereas it's not true that people have attributes like Big Five says. That's just absolutely not true. That's how an external party might describe someone's behavior, but people don't possess those kind of attributes. They do pay attention across time. And it's also the case that we already know observationally that at least some kinds of attention cannot be done concurrently, such as reading and explaining something out loud at the same time. It's not possible. Other kinds of attention can be combined somewhat, but not entirely, right? Like you can walk and talk at the same time. But what I find all the time when I'm live streaming is that when I'm in the flow of explaining something, like let's say I want to go into the kitchen and get a drink, I'll get up, walk in the kitchen with this to go get a drink, be too much in the flow of talking, then like walk back over here without having gotten a drink, walk back, walk back. It might sometimes happen like 4 or 5 times, and then I go, okay, Eric, you need to pay attention to actually getting the drink. So the thing about this kind of explanation, cognitive functions, is an explanation of how consciousness works. In other words, how the experience of consciousness across time plays out in terms of certain exclusivities and it's over already? How long was that one? Huh. That wasn't as long as I thought it was. So now I have those chunks of that. I could make that video if I wanted. I mean, I am going to make it. I'm not going to make it right this second, obviously. Now I'll pull up the live stream in the big screen. Aren't you worried we're seeing patterns where there are none for cognitive functions? Well, no, not remotely. Because again, we're not talking about patterns. I'm not using my intuition to type people. I'm not recognizing commonalities of correlates and stuff like that. I've successfully established multiple tests that are ungameable skills tests that link determinatively to certain functions. I don't have those kind of tests for all the functions, but using the ones that do work, well, but not all patterns are indicative of a structural reality, right? Like, if I find, like, for example, when it snows over here, the first year we were here, there's this spot where it looks like there's like duck tracks going like this. And I was like, yeah, except that no duck really has feet like that, like long rectangular feet. And I could not figure out for life of me what animal could have made those tracks. Well, in reality, it was just snow falling from the power line when the wind blew, and it would fall like this and make it look like tracks. So that's an example of how there's a pattern that appears indicative of one thing, and if we approach the question through a conventional frame, is apparently, obviously, definitely indicative of something, but in fact is indicative of something else entirely that has nothing to do with animals or tracks. So it's we have to be really careful with our intuition because anybody can intuit because the correct intuitive leap to make is not necessarily right. There are plenty of circumstances where you're given certain pieces of data and there is, in fact, a correct intuitive leap to make that these clues clearly suggest meow. And then when you find out more, it turns out that each of those clues just happen to be incidentally related to one another and there is no connection. Pour the drink, keep pouring the drink, stop pouring the drink. Right. Well, because intuition is knowing something holistically. And many, many things in life need to be known holistically. Uh, I can't. I'm not. I'm not going to come up with other examples of how intuition can be misleading, but there are plenty, hundreds, millions, infinite examples of how one's introverted intuition can be doing the work properly, but still be wrong. Um, that doesn't mean we should have done the work differently or that we should have used something other than our intuition, because lots of things are tailored for that kind of epistemological engagement, right? So the thing is, if what you is really asking is this: is are cognitive functions purely a holistic thing, such that you can know there are personality types and ways of paying attention because one can intuit this repeatedly from sets of data? No, that's not a good enough reason, obviously, to embrace cognitive functions for me. Cognitive functions would not be defensible if they required intuition to understand. Like, if it required you to, if you couldn't understand it, or if you couldn't establish things in determination ways via uh, via certain kinds of results that are replicable and determinedly eliminate certain possibilities. So the thing is, for most anybody else who encounters cognitive functions typology, it's a very reasonable initial reaction to it to say, okay, what we have here are a lot of people playing with ideas that are that in the same way as astrology, you can kind of like either cherry pick the things that do match you or explain away the things that don't with some other thing, like, well, that's because my moon is ascending in Aries or some shit like that, you know. If and it is the case, and this is the case, but if every deviation from the expected, or the, you know, like the predicted commonalities between these two individuals of the same astrology type, right? If if you can explain away every deviation from the predicted commonalities with some extra level of complexity, then you're not actually doing anything at all, obviously. And cognitive function is absolutely not like that. On extremely rare occasions, I will get somebody that seems to defy the rules of things. Like, Zandy's kind of a borderline case. I'm not sure exactly how if her TE exactly tested polar, because in the first attempt she made, she got through 4 steps, no problems, and then kind of like, I don't know, got sidetracked or something. But and I don't have a definitive test, polar test for SI, right? But I still think that Zandy's actually an ENFJ, but would appear to have tested positive for TE polar. At least one could make that argument. So if that were to happen very often at all, then obviously there'd be something fundamentally wrong with what I'm doing conceptually. It almost never happens at all, and when it does happen, there's usually something that makes it not what it appears to be, I guess. I've successfully poured the drink without having to return the bigger container. I don't know why I even came in here. I think I already have drinks. I do. I was just using that hypothetical example, guys. Okay? I wasn't saying I actually need to get a drink right now. What I do kind of want to do, though, and I know, it's nighttime and it's dark outside and everything, but I made so much progress on the pond today, and then I got a little bit sidetracked as I neared the finish line. I don't want to finish it right now, but I'm kind of thinking, where's that power cable over here? I emptied out all the water from all the stagnant water. 'Cause I don't know if you've heard, but stagnant water is bad. Put this tube here. Just put that there for now. So, the thing about this guy's ENTP, how to beat an ENTP at debate video, is he makes a lot of largely correct observations about ENTPs, but is less correct about functions. Like, he calls your 6-slot critic, and he says that the two words he has next to it are "you think." Like, I think, yeah, you think, TE. Well, obviously, every way of paying attention is paid attention to by the person paying attention, not by somebody else. But I can see myself being pretty positive with this guy's efforts here, because despite not quite grasping functions properly, he seems to be right about the implications thereof more than you would expect, for the extent to which he's wrong about the specifics thereof. Okay. So this end goes through this too. I had the following ridiculousness yesterday. I tried to put the other end through the tube. It didn't fit. And so I was like, damn, this cord doesn't fit through this tube. Turns out the male end of the cord is smaller than the female end. Who would have thought it, huh? It's a bit of a surprise. Well, now it's through. Look, everybody, I did it. I got it through. So tomorrow I can do the rest of that stuff. For now, this is good enough. I'll just put it back over here for now. I just wanted to see if I'd have any trouble getting that all the way through there. No problems at all. Very straightforward. I took all 4 trash cans up to the street already. Very important job I have to make sure I do every 2 weeks, or else we're really swimming in trash and a problem. Like, one thing I would say about being an ENTP in debating or something is, there are some types who can't be adequately taught debate because of their function deficits. But let's say you got an ESTP who was actually trained in debate and formally debated and had a good coach. I mean, they have a good coach. Well, they'll whip the ass of any random ENTP who thinks they like to argue, because, actual argumentation requires skills, specialized knowledge, etc. You have to understand the way different components of a case / set of responses engage with one another because of structural reasons and stuff, Yes, ENTPs obviously pick it up super fast and take to it like a fish to water. But if you don't have that training, if the person you're going up against was actually like a good debater, you got no chance. regardless of type. This is more so the longer they debate it too, because one of the wonderful things about debate is that even though every topic is different, there's a cumulative aspect to it. Because you're running when you don't have specific arguments responsive to the specific warrant of a case level argument, you run generics. So you get to be familiarized with different kind of neighborhoods of arguments and what kind of responses they're vulnerable to. You also get very good at executing framework arguments to invalidate the case level arguments, etc. It's something special about today because the vibes were off. The vibes were off here. We're talking about earlier. Nuger says, I think the debate archetype is more like playing devil's advocate simply because they see both sides of the argument and want to share the other side, so this comes across as debating. I mean, it's hard for me to say what a lay ENTP would be doing, but yes, I can see both sides of the argument, but I never argue in favor of the wrong side. Make America Great Britain again. Well, you know what? Hi, Celium. I don't think we want your royal family. Your ex-Prince Andrew, your Beatrice, and what's the other one's name? Beatrice and like Ogilvy or something? Oh, the vibes of the day overall unrelated to this train. I see. Probably Mercury's in retrograde. Getting a drink is vague in a way that getting the supplies isn't. So maybe getting a drink is too simple an instruction if it's supposed to have steps. Break getting a drink into 5 steps. Get it from your chair, walk into the kitchen, open the fridge, pour the drink into a glass, take it back to your chair. You can do that, no problem. And of course, your TE polar. Mercury's in Gatorade, huh? Respect your elders. Okay, I'll try to. I'd argue that ENTPs do argue for the wrong thing given bad SI. I mean, what does FSI have to do with it? We can just fold the task into 0 steps and assume the drink was got. Britain was never great. Literally the biggest empire of all time, you fucking pillock. You wouldn't even be a country if not for us. I mean, I just said I didn't want your royal family. I didn't say anything about you failing to be an empire or something. After all, if they want to remove Andrew from a line of succession, they have to get for some reason, Australia and New Zealand to agree. I thought that was strange. I'm not even shitting on Great Britain. I just don't want to return to being a part of it. Because regardless of the respective merits of the two countries, in one area, it's indisputable that America's better. We don't have people with titles and aristocracies and stuff like that. That stuff is incredibly stupid. Obviously, you can just look at the royals and know immediately that those people not only are not in some way better than other people, they're definitely worse. Oh, you're not speaking to me. You're flying another car. My bad, my bad. Most there do not like the royal family. Fair enough. Fair enough. I like Great Britain. I've actually been to England before, and I went to Stratford upon Avon, saw a Shakespeare play. Went to London, saw a really hilarious play in the theater district in London, and I think it's cool. You know, England speaks English, America speaks English. You know, we're both more or less free and civil societies. We have a history of teaming up together against common foes, usually Germany. What's not to like about England? Besides their kings and stuff. Kings are so, it's such a crazy old-fashioned idea, you know? Like, I don't even understand how anybody can favor it with a straight face. Maybe I should bring out some glasses too. It doesn't really look that readable through the window. So I'll bring my glasses out. I mean, I can certainly see the possibility of an ENTP being a some kind of relativist dissembler if they never are able to understand how language can be used for, you know, the most noble purpose of all, namely correctness. So to come up north, south is a little bit different. Well, yeah, we went. I went with my parents. This is a long time ago. I was like 18 years old, and we went to a couple other places in Europe as well. Not to mention the Ruskies. Yeah, fuck the Ruskies. You know, fuck the Ruskies. I seem to be missing something here in the chat in terms of this car crash. It's probably because I've got it on top messages. I hate that it defaults to that. That's just so dumb. Just default to all messages. It's weird how just how NI, like the YouTube automatic suggested questions are. It'll pop up almost every live stream. Try asking this question. And today's question was, good driver? Question mark. Like, people do like to answer those kind of questions. I'm not really sure why. Are you a good driver? Yes. Why are you asking? Why am I answering? I don't know. But it's not as though contemporary media of communication don't allow for or necessarily even discourage complexity, you know, like successfully discussing complex things. But it's also the case that by and large, even no matter how complex something is, nobody wants to be engaged about that thing in a needlessly complex way. It's always better for concision and resonance and impact than it is for more thorough parsings of things that are too precise, TI, complex, or what have you. Did you scratch someone's car? Is that what happened? Could be. If so, I'll blame Mercury. I scratched someone's car and the dude left before I could do anything about it. I felt so bad I was trembling and crying the whole day. I wished I could repent. I don't know. Sometimes the universe wants us to get away with something. I think that's fair to say. Sometimes the universe wants us to get away with something. Today was not the day for you to get consequences for that. So, congratulations. As far as the moral, the incurred moral harms or sins or what have you, well, okay, if that's the worst thing you ever do, you're doing an absolutely fucking fantastic job. You know what I'm saying? Or another way to put it this way, okay? Because this is your reaction to it, you're fine. If you were like, oh, I scratched that loser's car and totally got away with it, then you'd have a problem. I'll tell you, one time I had this kind of beat up old Pontiac station wagon. Somebody rear-ended me at a stoplight in like the county area of Arcadia, and uh, you know, it kind of squished my bumper and stuff, and it made the car die. I got out and I looked, and the people were like, "Oh God," they were so like didn't want to have to deal with it, but they didn't really try to stop me from doing anything. But I just said, "Oh well, you know, it's fine. This car's already beat up, so if the car starts and I drive fine, then we're good." And they were so happy and so grateful. It was a nice moment. I feel good about that. So maybe you gave that guy an opportunity to feel good that, well, trying to scratch my car, but it's an opportunity for me to let somebody get away with something and feel good about it. But Fly Guy's also right, Kay. It may just be you just have to wait till you get to hell, and then you're gonna burn for this. You're gonna burn for, let's say, I don't know, 7.5 months in fire as punishment for scratching this car. After which you might be rehabilitated to purgatory. When you get to the gates of hell, you often hear about the gates of heaven, but not the gates of hell, because to get into hell, you ride across a river on a boat. Anyway, or maybe that's just the underworld. I don't know. The point I'm saying is, when you get to the gate of hell, they're gonna look you up on their clipboard, and they're gonna be like, "Car scratcher, huh? Level 7, Lake of Fire. We got a car scratcher." And everyone's like, "Boo, boo." Meanwhile, the murderer is just like, yeah, whatever. People give him light applause. But you, Kay, you are a filthy car scratcher. Turns out the guy whose car you scratched died the same day, and they bring him down from heaven to testify against you. Yep, my car was scratched. It absolutely ruined my life. I was about to get married to my fiance. She saw the scratch on the car and she's like, if you take care of your car like this, I'm leaving. Bye. Then I went to work. I got fired because my car had a scratch. And I tried to sell the car. And instead of paying me money for it, they made me pay them money because it had a scratch. Then I went bankrupt, became homeless, and was killed in random street violence. So yes, this woman needs to burn. But I agree with you, Alec. I agree that that fiance was obviously not the one for him. But what I would say is this: he believes it was, and he blames Kay. And I think we should all blame Kay too. Find trouble. I will go watch you eat. He never gets over it, even after he's in heaven. When you finally do work your way back up into heaven, he walks right up to you and slaps you in the face. And God and Jesus give him a little round of applause for doing so. So, you're really in trouble, Kay. Well, think about it this way. Maybe it was a witness's car. Then we could all celebrate it. I mean, would you feel so bad if you knew it was Hitler's car you had scratched? Would you feel so bad then? I don't think so. You'd be like, good, Hitler deserved to have his car scratched. He didn't even want to eat. He did not even want to eat. This fucking guy, I tell you, he's a real piece of work. So America did win against the Dominican Republic. I found myself, for some reason, rooting for the Dominican Republic, which is kind of strange. Who's that guy in the thumbnail? That's this guy who made a video. Yeah, that was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game. I actually felt confident until Mason Miller came in the game anyway. The Dominican Republic were going to claw another run back. They had second and third third and first with one out, and that guy hit into a double play. Right after the announcer said, this guy always hits into double plays. Yeah, they are a fun team. That was not the only horrible call in that game, Dead Boy Klaus. But I didn't really foresee any Dominican players getting good wood on Mason Miller's pitches. Like, they were likely to either strike out or walk. We had Mason Miller on our team for a while, The A's did. We traded him to San Diego. And I was fine with that trade because we got one of the very top prospects in baseball and a couple other good young prospect kind of players in exchange. And I thought it was not such a bad thing for the A's to do because the problem with our team was not that we didn't have a good enough closer, right? It was starting pitching was more of a problem for sure. And we didn't have a ton of games where it came down to a closer. I just felt like we could get better value for that highly sought piece than he provided to the team. I concluded that after a little while, At first I was like, what? Trading Mason Miller? But he's our all-star. Well, we actually have multiple all-stars now, I'd say. We've got Kurtz is certainly going to be in the running for all-star. Jacob Wilson in the running for all-star. We could also bring up Brent Rooker, who's kind of a perennial slugger, I'm looking forward to this baseball season. I think we still don't really have any starting pitching. I'm not sure if Severino is going to still be with our team. I like Denzel Clark a lot. I don't think he really has all-star potential. I think he's worth playing the center field because he's such a good defensive center fielder, but he's light hitting. He may improve somewhat in his hitting, but I, you know, very rare for somebody to make the all-star team just on defense. Maybe like Ozzie Smith used to do that. No, Capillo, I don't want you up here. God, go away. Go. You always want to come up here. JoJo refs left and right. I don't know what JoJo refs means. Denzel Clark was also out for the whole latter 2/3 of the season last year. I'm not exactly sure what injury he got, but he never came back from it. So I'm not necessarily counting on him to be a big contributing factor. I give her so much loving. Oh my God. It's not like this cat has somehow gotten inadequate pets from me today. I have pet the living shit out of her. Let Capillo dominate you so you can shuffle trouble to the bottom of the hierarchy. At least if she's sitting here, I prefer her sitting over here because here is where my arm goes and where like I reach over here for bong rips and stuff. She's just way too in the way right there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to baseball season, but I've also been making some brackets tonight. Don't forget, everybody, it's bracket time. So fill your brackets out before Thursday morning so that you can be the first person ever to have a completely perfect bracket. Maybe nobody's ever done it before, as far as I know. Maybe at least not on ESPN. Maybe on some other place, but. Yeah, well, that's the Rachel technique. I could love them like Rachel does, and then they would not want me to love them so much. I mean, the thing is, Kay, I already do, but I have to set some boundaries sometimes. Now, back to your question. What was your question, Kaleidoscopic Void? Do tell, and I will address it. No, show media. Obviously not. I took a thumbnail of that guy who made that video called How to Beat ENTP in Debate. And, you know, compared to the video that I made yesterday about Dre Sean getting typed by those people, well, what that guy said in his like final thoughts part was just a complete gobbledygook. I'm planning on making a video about that video that he made, and I'm planning on making it clear what I'm doing. Namely, I'm type policing the information he's providing. It wasn't clear in last night's video because I accidentally somehow ended up deleting the key clip that was right before the ending song that it went over my explanation of how that's not a good way to type people and why and some other things. And I did throw them in type police jail. Well, it was just a few minutes, but it's the easiest part though, especially in the days are short in winter. Well, you know what I like to say. If I wanted to not eat, I wouldn't buy food. You know. I think this year I'm going to give up Ramadan for Lent. Not drinking water? You can't drink water all day either? Just alcohol? That seems not healthy. So every day for Ramadan, you have to drink gin all day and eat no food. You're going to get sick. If you ever woke up and had a late lunch, no, I mean, every once in a while, there's a day when I wake up late, take my Adderall, and don't end up eating until the evening. But that's not good for me. R.I.P. Type Police, who is such a perfect concept. Well, I am continuing. I'm reinitiating it, but in a slightly different way. Instead of type policing people and what type they say they are, I'm gonna be doing videos where I explain my other typologists are wrong or not, and throw them in the slammer or not accordingly. The last bit, like I said, the slammer part from yesterday's video got accidentally removed. I'm not sure why or how. Why was an accident? How, I'm not sure. I didn't figure it out. I didn't realize that was the case until it got to that part during the premiere, which I was watching. I was like, wait, what happened in the most important part? But at that point, I didn't want to re-upload it because it had already completed its premiere. So I just said, well, let's try again tomorrow. And today's video that I'm type policing, which I will probably, work on a little bit while streaming, and then probably end the stream and try to hammer it out. But it's this guy's video about how to beat an ENTP in debate. And it's not super wrong. I mean, he's wrong about functions, but he's not really particularly wrong about ENTPs. Wait a second. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. So what I did is I made five I recorded the whole thing, but I did it in 5 separate files, so I can snip out like 1 or 2 things from each file. I guess I can put these. That's right. I was gonna put these all in one and do this a different way today, a way that makes a little bit more sense. So we're gonna just go ahead and open all 5 of those. You followed the banana girl diet? I only ate fruit for a few years and was basically always starving. Yeah, well, it's not a good idea to only eat fruit because fruit doesn't have any meat in it. One should try to follow the following dietary program: pork in the morning, and then, because the pork is your breakfast meat, obviously. And then lunch, dinner, you could pick either. Probably you're going to go chicken for lunch, steak, or beef for dinner, but you could switch it up occasionally. You get a hamburger for lunch, get like grill yourself some chicken for dinner. That'd be fine. But every day should include at least some pork, some beef, and some chicken. And every meal needs at least one of those proteins. It's also a good idea to eat like salad and stuff because it's good for your digestive system. It also fills you up with some lettuce, and so, like, if you're like me, trying not to have too many sugar kind of things, which may include excess carbs conceivably, then it's good to have a little bit of extra filler stuff like lettuce to fill up on.
They come, but don't be afraid to make them a little.
All right, that's not the first one. They're of course out of order. Every time I like batch import into Windows Movie Maker more than one clip, they never go in the right order. Can you just put number 1 first, number 2 second, etc.? Ridiculous. All right, so I see it's in reverse order. Okay, that's good. That's a lot better than just being randomly ordered. All right, now I got it from the beginning. I was force fed a chicken wing. I realized I was probably missing something delicious I could put in my mouth. Slap a black turban on this man. You want chicken, but it's 4 a.m. Um, I want you to rip and re-upload my type police on the live stream. I upload so you can get views and comments, and I can delete mine. I don't even know what. Type police sandwiched in a live one makes such a big hullabaloo. I ain't have PhD. Alright, I guess I'll do a half-ass type police. Let's see. I can't, I mean, I could do that here, I guess. Okay. Hard identify. I have PhD. Maybe I will. I'll keep that tab open. I would deliver you a ratatouille pizza if I could. Hi, Johnny Doe. Oh, did you want their identity? It was his mom. That's who it was. I intuited the answer. So you can trust it. My intuition, I know very certainly. So you can take that to the bank. All right, let's see what we can do here with Home Fries' talkings. I'm gonna split video. All right, split video.
How to beat an ENTP in an argument? Well, everyone sees ENTPs as the master debater.
See you later, Johnny Doe.
That not everyone knows. In this video, I'll break those things down so you have the upper hand. Get into it. All right, so let's get into it. When it comes to ENTPs, there's definitely specific things that make them very good arguers, but there's also weak spots that they have.
Is there some sort of conflict going on with Johnny in the chat?
Very good, and we'll get into their strong spots, weak spots, and adaptations you can make if you find yourself in an argument with an ENTP, or just in
I'm gonna turn
general,
it down a little bit.
arguing.
I can hear it fine.
But specifically, for an ENTP, certain things that might get under their skin a little bit more. So first, we'll maybe do a basic overview of these functions, the basic way your brain works, right? So getting into an ENTP, we have their NE hero. Their hero function is very good at predicting things, at looking ahead, at being able that might get under their skin a little bit more. So first, we'll maybe do just a basic overview of an ENTP's functions, the basic way their brain works, right? So getting into an ENTP, we have their NE hero. Their hero function is very good at predicting things, at looking.
It is the case that, like, I'm very good at anticipating where someone's going argumentationally, but any is not implicitly a predictive function.
We have their hero. Their hero function is very good at we have their hero.
Okay.
Hero function is very good at predicting things, at looking ahead, at being able to presume and make predictions, understand where things are going, where things are headed, what other people might do, what other people will do, trying to understand the what ifs, the potential.
That's not the case at all. If you're talking about doing, right?
Secondarily, they supplement that with their introverted thinking.
I don't know what other people are gonna do.
Able to logically process things all the different situations and different potentials
I'm
in our head to look for what is true and why.
I'm doing a little bit of work here actually while streaming.
Use this, speak this very confidently, and that parent functions very, very skeptical, pessimistic, very, very wary. So it's very good at being able to weigh out potential truths, potential lies.
No, my name's Eric Strauss.
Very high level when
None of your business.
they're extrovert, feeling shy, very optimistic.
I believe that Epstein is alive, and I also don't believe that you think I might be him, because I obviously don't look like him, except for the fact that I have a beard, which some people say he currently is sporting one. So, I guess the most important takeaway from this is, of course, I'm not Epstein, but also, you never actually thought I was. So, there's no reason to pretend like you did. That's just being, a filthy liar. But you do you. Thanks. Appreciate it. How generous of you. Like most people, I would like to see all of those Epstein files released. I would like to see feds do things about it as much as they can. And I would certainly like to see Epstein come to justice, because I don't think he's dead. I think he's alive, possibly in Israel, possibly someplace else. I could conceive of a world where even Epstein, Epstein's the you know compromising information that Epstein has about Trump could conceivably have been used to blackmail him into riding into Iran town with Israel. Because it is also the case, though, that Trump, it's impossible to know why Trump does something. It could be any number of reasons or no reason at all. No, I don't want to make a sound effect, obviously. The guy on the stretcher that was supposed to be Epstein's body had a different shaped nose. Well, additionally, there's footage of a flash of orange prison jumpsuit and a stairwell that like is a blind spot for the cameras of a prisoner. This flash of an orange jumpsuit anyway, appearing on the camera feed. Like it didn't. It caught just a little piece of it, but it was at 10:39 at night, when they never moved prisoners around. Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, that is not Ghislaine Maxwell in prison now. When they arrested her, the mugshot of her, that was Ghislaine Maxwell. But the person who's currently they have incarcerated, that is not the same person. She has a totally different face. That one, I didn't get enough of an opportunity to see the the purported Epstein face, so I don't really have an opinion about that. But I can assure you that that Ghislaine Maxwell lady, that is not her that they have in custody. She's somewhere in the Cayman Islands. Yeah, those people are swimming neck deep in some dirty business. Ain't no doubt about that. Ain't no doubt about that. But I don't know. It really makes I think everybody feel as though the world is rife with conspiracy and and nefarious agendas that everything that every way the world is the result of somebody successfully implementing their nefarious agenda and successfully predicting how action yeah would produce outcome yeah. Sometimes they can do that. Like, for example, the CIA certainly engages in disinformation sometimes. It's very hard to believe that's not what happened after 9/11, because right after 9/11 there was this weird flood onto the internet of obviously skepticism about 9/11. But what I'm saying is there's this weird flood of like stuff of very poor reasoning and justifications, made up bullshit, etc. And it essentially made it like me in typology. It's impossible for anybody to take typology seriously if they look at this incredibly muddy pool of mostly wrong people, right? And I would think, well, okay, well, that probably is just a natural occurrence of, uh, you know, NI run amok people expressing their NI run amok wrongnesses. Except all these websites, it would be like impossible to find any kind of identifying information on who made it or where it came from. It would just kind of like pop up on these URLs, and it it was if it was naturally occurring, and if it was both naturally occurring and 9/11 actually was an inside job, the CIA could not have done a better job of muddying the waters than what naturally occurred. So we do know that that kind of stuff happens, right? The CIA and other kinds of agencies like that, their job is to conspire and try to implement secret plans and do extra legal stuff, to put it politely, extra legal. But I think the eating humans part was the only slightly shocking part, but not entirely. But beyond that, it's all predictable. I mean, maybe it's kind of predictable in the aftermath of recent years, but say, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, I definitely did not believe that any of these kind of absurd supervillain things were correctly attributed to celebrities in general or at a vastly higher rate than normal people. It it just doesn't make good intuitive sense that it would be the case. But now that we've had some light shed on what actually goes on behind closed doors between these people, I can take much more seriously the idea that in fact fame and fortune are are much more powerfully corrupting than I had previously thought. How down on yourself would you need to be to basically sell other kids to your significant other as a way of keeping him with you? Uh, I mean, who knows how either how anybody involved in that felt about it. Some of them may have taken a sadistic glee in what they were doing, and some of them may have um, been compelled into cooperating because they had dirt on them or any number of other things. It's I'm sure a mismatch of different motivations for different people doing different things. Hi, Winston's mom. So I'm making that video. I'm trying to make it here. I'm trying to clip out these chunks.
The extrovert feeling child, very optimistic about ethics, about what other people feel, what's good for others, justice, fairness in the universe, and looking for that equality with everyone's worth, everyone's value and life. Introverted intuition about what they need to do, their obligations, their ethics, but their actions, being analytical about their past, their experiences, the things they've gone through. A bit of an insecurity about having a bad experience, about having a negative memory be implemented. So that's something that they're insecure about, but more aspirational, more confident about their ability to survive bad experiences, being very enduring, and being able to stick through things no matter what. And we're going to get into how these things come into play when it comes to arguing with them and stick through things no matter what. And we're going to get into how these things come into play when it comes to arguing with them and why they are such good arguers. Their introverted intuition nemesis, looking at the things they want, not just about what other people are going to do, but what they're going to do. And this can make them good strategists when they take the time to prepare.
I guess NI could be
Secondary type of function.
thought of as knowing what you're going to do, in other words, knowing your path, but
Extroverted thinking critic, one of the ways things that make
he's got it written down as I want.
they can definitely fill that void. Extroverted thinking critic, one of the things that make them notorious arguers, being critical of what other people know, critical of what other people think is true, critical of other people's ideas, other people's presumptions.
Okay, so that's not what TE6 is. TE6 is easily understood as opposing utilitarianism. Hi, what are your types? I'm an ENTP. Hi, my name's Eric. Host of Talking with French People, and somebody who's made typology content for like, I don't know, 10 years or something. So I thought I'd type police this here video. I need to delete this first one. Delete that clip. And then I think I should just deal with the ones I just clipped.
Very optimistic.
Which one is it? How long is that? Let's see. 413. Okay, so I should. How many did I bring in here? I brought all 5 of them in? Huh. So I guess it should be these 4 I should delete. Let's see what this says.
How they feel about things. Very, very low. They don't care too much about their own feelings, their own biases, their own, prejudice.
Okay. Well, I'll delete this one, right? Because this is the very beginning, or I already deleted the one from the very beginning. Yeah, okay, I already deleted the very beginning, so I'm gonna have to do this when I'm not streaming. I'll do this later. Yeah, well, I did it because I wanted to talk about what this guy was saying in his video and stuff. Kind of figuring I'd fudge the barrier between getting a little bit of work done and live streaming, but it's not really possible to do. This requires my full attention to do this job, to do the editing and like go through each of these clips, make the concisest clip of it, sew those together, and then I can engage with that on a start and stop basis in OBS, and then repeat for the other chunks that I took from this video. And of course, the thing that makes it require all of my attention is I've got to make editorial decisions, hopefully good ones, where I have the right amount of clips, the right amount of commentary, the right length of clips, the right length of commentary, and that I end up with uh, a breezy, pleasant video that's also correct in articulating what's wrong with what he says without getting bogged down too much in excessive detail or complexity. That's the job. That's the job I'm trying to do. Oh, you came across a video of his a few days ago, huh? The reason I came across this video is because Winston's mom, who's here in the chat, she suggested that I make a video about this video, and it ended up it's ended up happening, so I'm doing it. But I'm not going to do it anymore right this second. Instead, I'm going to make a quick song about how to beat an ENTP in debate. What type do you identify as? J. Suis Un P. Tit Sucra? Oh, you're a little sugar? Does that mean you're a little sugar? I'm a petite sucre? That's what I think that means. I'm a little sugar. Well, aren't you sweet? You're a little sugar. Well, what does sucra mean then, if not sugar? I thought it meant sugar. Oh, it does mean sugar, but you're just lying about yourself. You're just engaged in a little self-aggrandizing. Understandable. Well, let me tell you this, Mr. French guy. Quelle heure est-il? L'autobus à la plage? If you're not impressed with my French, then I don't even believe you're French yourself. Omelette du fromage. Style. We're going to go with somewhere in the standbys area, the old standards. Go, not that one. Not maybe this one. Je suis un petit sucre, je suis little sugar guy, je suis un petit sucre. I'm from France, can't you see? That's why I'm un petit sucre. Right, I'm un petit sucre, je suis un petit sucre. I'm from France and you can tell that. Let's go. Un petit, je suis un petit sucre. Je suis un petit sucre. You can tell that's why I got lucre inside of me. It's full of baguettes, croissants, and ghee. I think I saw a beret on top of somebody's head. You know what? I like mine. I like them so much. I like Jerry Lewis. He makes me laugh. I think baguettes are the best in France, and I drink wine for breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. That's because I am from France. I ride l'autobus à la plage. Je suis un petit sucre. That's right, I'm a little baby sugar man. And it's time for you to come to France and see that true. But if you don't, well then do this. Bonjour, merci. That's my French song. Pretty good French song. I think not too terrible. So what else we got? How do you debate an ENTP? You wanna know how to debate me, even though I'm an ENTP? Well, that is easy. You just got to kick me in the nuts. That'll shut me right up for sure. That's how you can win this debate with me. I'm an ENTP and a debate coach too, you see. But it's still easy to win a debate with me if you really want to. Just got to kick me in the nuts and punch me in the face, hit me in the stomach, insult my race, steal my family away and hold them for ransom. You just got to kick me in the nuts and punch me in the face. Go ahead now, insult my race and tell me that if I don't shut up, you're gonna hit me in the head with a rock. What a shock it would be for this ENTP if I faced a debater who treated me like I just articulated in the song before G, and then that assuredly would beat me. All right. So my second song, in order to avoid any critique for being lying in my title, I decided to make it topical. So hopefully everybody found that topically acceptable. The day that keyboard came into my life was a really special day. I cannot believe that I spent so many years without that keyboard. Since I got it, I basically never even play the guitar anymore. Even though I can play the guitar and I'm not really much of a keyboard player, obviously. But I should play the guitar a little bit more occasionally, you know. Because when I play the keyboard, I just always make up songs on the fly. I never actually play any songs that I've written, you know. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Trouble fast, the trouble's still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Life could strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night. And mostly our voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to find. But whether I'm supposed to be here or just be soon forgotten noise is sort of based on what I see here and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Trouble past, struggle still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Something to say. You have to practice songs occasionally on the guitar, so I don't forget them. I don't have that many of my own songs memorized anyway, so I don't want to forget the ones I do have memorized. Thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah, I actually should have plugged into the amp. The amp's right here. It's plugged in. I usually lately do plug into the amp when I play that guitar, but in this case, I just didn't really think about it, I guess. Hi, Fatal Exception. How you doing? Are you, as usual, leading to a blue screen of death? I'm gonna turn off the heater. Save propane. It's not that cold. I turned it on for a little while earlier because it's gotten pretty chilly in here, but it's warmed up substantially now. Especially after playing music, I'm hot in this jacket, so it's a good time to go outside. Do I have my glasses? Oh, of course not. Of course not. And yet, what's really significant to note here is I have done this a billion times. Now, I've gone outside, needed my glasses, realized I left them inside, and once again, just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. I'm the only one who gets the reference. I think I just saw it the other day on my computer. Every once in a while it does it. It'll blue screen of death thing. It's usually when I'm trying to I've got multiple tabs open, each of which has a different kind of video thing and multiple playing at the same time maybe. Then it's usually it'll kill it. I say, I can't handle all this. I'm a super old computer. I'm amazed I've lived this long. It is super old and gets used constantly, but still kicking. I need to be prepared, for when a pet dies, for the end of this laptop. I am going to eventually have to get a different laptop. But for now, it's still working fine, I guess. How is life as an ENTP? Mixed bag, you know. There are things that it's I have obviously in exchange for what strengths I have other deficits that cause me big problems. You know, having SE eighth means what could be called an executive function disorder. It's not really a disorder, but it's just saying that if you've got that kind of super unconscious, kind of defensive, kind of countervalue, but definitely instrumental relationship with extroverted sensing, then following through on things, getting stuff done, completing projects and stuff can be very challenging, or at least be a continual source of frustration and or um, self-flagellation, self-beating up. And of course, my FI polar, the problems from FI polar come home to roost in spades as well. At this point in my life, I acutely feel how tragically I failed to have adequate regard for stuff that I should have held precious, you know. And it means basically not knowing what is important to you, and that when you've lost the opportunity to treat people you love the way you feel like you ought to have in retrospect, and what maybe most people understand about their own feelings somewhere in the age of under 10 years old, I kind of finally come to understand, like 50 somewhat, I understand, but certainly I get plagued with a lot of regret for my failures in FI and my failures in SE. In contrast, my TE failures generally don't cause me to have any kind of lasting regret. I mean, SE failures, some lasting regret and ongoing kind of distress. But the TE stuff, I'm much more, as it's called, critic. People say Six Lives is called critic. I'm much more critical of TE than I am of SE and FE. I more acutely feel FI and SE. I more acutely feel my deficits in those two. I am critical of FI playing out in front of me when it's not not engaging in a disinterested fashion about what I'm saying, right? But even then, I don't blame FI, or I don't think like FI is bad. I just think I'm just blind to the fact that that's what's going on. I just say like, well, why don't you just listen to me and respond to what I'm saying? It's perfectly clear, and I'm not being unreasonable, and I'm not wrong about this thing I'm saying. If you think I am, respond to what I actually said. So the reason they're not doing that is because they're determining the matter with their introverted feeling, and introverted feeling is of course subjective in contrast to introverted thinking. And if the two tool functions come against each other, they will talk past each other all day, accomplishing nothing and getting increasingly frustrated. Even if you've got like super develops awareness of the meta realities of functions like that. Well, which I do. It's still really hard to apply knowledge that the application of which would cause you to be different than what you naturally are fundamentally, attentionally. So, oh, Leo. Leo's out barking or something. Leo's this very sweet, wonderful dog, but he um, his people who his dog it is live across the street. They're kind of trashy people, and they just let that dog run around randomly. I'm fine with it because I'd rather the dog be over at Jared's house, who loves the dog and I trust with the dog. Um, but when he's barking, it usually means there's some kind of animal. He doesn't really bark at all unless there's some good reason to. Thanks for your honest reply. Oh, sure. Yeah, well, If nothing else, this channel is not a place where I spew lies. That's for sure. That's not one of the bad parts of being an HP is I don't have to deal with keeping track of lies and such because I'm fully invested in the idea that it's always a bad idea to be dishonest because even if you get away with it, you just gambled your credibility long term in exchange for some presumed temporary gain. So, also, I've lived my life here on YouTube for over a decade now, and it's been central to my life. I spend hours a day on YouTube, like training usually. I used to make a lot of uploaded videos. I didn't for a long time. My parents died, and things kind of changed for my life, and uh, I kind of stopped making long form videos. But I'm starting to again, it seems like, and I still kept live streaming the whole time, through thick and thin, everything, because the community of people that I talk to here is is very important part of my overall well-being. They say you got to spend some time one, sometime two, sometime three, meaning like sometimes by yourself, sometimes with one other person, perhaps a significant other, or perhaps just a friend or something, and sometimes with a group. Well, this is how I get my group time. And I think I might need a fair amount of group time. I used to think I was Enneagram SX, but I think I'm probably Enneagram SO. I don't know. It's hard to say what those things mean exactly. It's not rigorous like cognitive functions can be, though it usually isn't implemented suchly. So, what type do you think you are? I am a little sugar. Do you have yourself typed? You know, my inclinations are far too simple, which is to say, I want to play. Wee. It's like Michael Jackson on South Park. And life requires somewhat more of it, I guess, clear sense of purpose and motion. You think INTJ? Think I'm INTJ or INFJ? I'm not sure. Well, it's actually fairly easy to tell to eliminate INFJ or ISFJ. So, like, I'll ask you a quick question here, and assuming I get an answer relatively quickly, I should be able to possibly eliminate them. So, can you break down the task of buying a baguette into exactly 5 steps? It's not possible to ever identify someone's type in a simple thing like that, right? But you can eliminate certain types with simple things like that sometimes. There's a few sweet spots where tests really hit. They've worked consistently. The distinction between blind and everything else is clear, and those are the only reasons. Those kinds of tests are the only reasons we can actually be serious about concluding that somebody's a certain type. You can't do it just by asking whatever kind of questions and kind of intuiting what their answers say about them or something. So we'll see if you got any steps for me or not. I have the idea of what kind of baguette I want. Say hi, panic, buy, leave. Well, that is that is 5 steps. So I think we can probably. I can't say with 100% certainty because I normally don't do this via text, so I don't have the catalog of examples to refer to say that it works just fine in text too. But we can probably eliminate INFJ. INFJs can't ordinate tasks like that. I'm not sure the panic is in the right order, really. Like, shouldn't you panic before you say hi? But I'll acknowledge that that one doesn't require a specific order. It could go either way, probably. You walk up to the counter and you're like, bonjour. And she's like, oh, you looking so nervous. That's my Italian. She's an Italian who happens to be working in France. That's why she sounds like that. Oh, don't be scared of me. I'm just a lady who works at the baguette shop. It's like when I asked the question, the answer I thought of was number one, put on your beret. Number two, get on your bicycle. Three, ride to the baguette shop. Four, buy your baguette. And five, ride home. That's what I thought of. But maybe yours is just as good. It works just as well as 5 steps for sure. So that's fine. Yeah, INFJs can't do that stuff. ISFJs can't do it either. I asked my ISFJ neighbor one time, I said, can you break down the task of taking the groceries in from the car in 5 steps? And he just said, no. Usually people attempt it and fail miserably. And that's how I know they're polar. He didn't even think he could, he didn't think he would be able to do that. He was just like, no, I don't think I can. Even though to everybody who's not polar, that surely sounds kind of insane, right? Like, who couldn't break down that task into 5 steps? Who couldn't break down any task into 5 steps? It seems insane, right? Well, that's those blind spots for you. They're stark. They're beautiful in their reliability, unlike other psychology things. There's that's the other thing about cognitive functions is my claim is that properly articulated is essentially fully defensible, but maybe not fully, but mostly. But even if you don't, even if you don't have, even though others don't have as much reason as I do to believe it to be so, because they don't have the large data set of having done a lot of different typing sessions. So of course they'd have less. They have more cause to be skeptical, right? But even without that, even considering those things, if you compare it against comparables in psychology, it's way superior in its robustness. You know, there's absolutely nothing robust at all about Big Five. It's what's the opposite of robust? It's like flaccid. Now, I am a little sugar. That's his name. Sucra means sugar. Yeah, it's clear, right? And he wasn't answering it like, no, I'm not going to do this. He was telling me, no, I can't do that. He's cool. We get along well. We were hanging out just the other day. Maybe yesterday, maybe the day before. He plays guitar and mandolin, some other instruments. He gigs a lot. He and his wife play under the name the Jespersons. She's coming back this week, by the way, from Australia. I'm excited mostly for the dog. Lulu loves her so much, and Lulu's been, according to Jared, kind of clingy and needy in her absence. Feels, obviously, I guess, probably, and she's grieving to some extent. Well, that's where she's from. But anyway, the dog's going to be so excited to see her. I'm super happy for the dog. Obviously, I'm happy for Jared too. I'm sure he's going to be super excited to see her. But, you know, the reason I'm going to be so happy for the dog is because the dog doesn't understand. You know, you can't explain to the dog, this is what's going on, this is when she'll be back. Oh, that water tastes good. When water tastes that good, it means you're probably a little dehydrated. Tomorrow I got a typing session at 3 o'clock. And I'll get that video I'm making done tomorrow morning because I'm not going to finish it tonight. I'm not going to put any more work into it tonight. I'm getting ready to go to bed here. What time is it anyway? It's almost 10 p.m. That's not too late. Actually, that's not bad at all. I'm being a real, yeah, it's Jay Sean. I wonder if Rachel took Adderall again today, or if she's still rolling from yesterday. I'm guessing he's going to be fine with publishing because he obviously published with them and wanted me to make a video about it and such, but I haven't actually asked him yet. And will I publish it the same day? Yes. Probably. Yes, I will. I like to publish it the same day, but it's at 3 o'clock tomorrow, so yeah. I'll probably make that video tomorrow morning. Especially if I go to bed reasonably soon. That won't take more than at most 2 hours. Then I'll probably live stream for a bit. Then I'll do a typing session. Then I'll pay attention to off-camera stuff like, maybe watch some TV, eat something. And during that time, actually, it's going to take a while to process. Probably Rayshawn's video, if he does publish, will not be published tomorrow. It'll be published the next day. Because it takes a couple hours for Google Meet to process the video and say it's ready for you now. And I'm not like sitting right on it. And once I send it off to being processed, I figure I'll come back to that next time I think of it. And I don't think to myself like, oh, well, remember to set aside this time later for when you're going to publish it kind of thing. So probably not tomorrow. probably want me to watch you eat again? Seriously? Good night, sugar. You take care too. Yes, I'm a musician. I play the musical instruments. Yes, I am. Herb, would you like me to play a song? I'd be down to play another song on the guitar. I enjoyed playing that last one. I'll plug it in this time. I could voice and the guitar over the same volume. If you don't want that, then that's fine too. Okay, Trouble, watch you eat. Okay, I will play as soon as I'm done watching the cat eat. At least getting him started. He's such a pain in the butt. Move along, kitty. He won't start eating unless I watch him. Well, mostly I can play the guitar, but I do play the keyboard much more often than I play the guitar. But it's not really particularly. I personally don't necessarily think it's a good use of my musical energies to make up random songs on the keyboard while I'm live streaming. I think it's a better use of my musical energies to say try to complete a track recording a composition I've written or something. But I seem to have more fun just fucking around improvising songs on the keyboard. And I do have a bass as well. I'm not much of a bass player, and since I got the keyboard, I find that when I won't need a bass part, I'm always going to play it on the keyboard. It's much easier to play a cool bass part on the keyboard than it is to play it on the bass. Because at least bass parts on the keyboard, they only require one finger or two fingers. I play a lot of two-finger keyboard. Although I can play songs and stuff, like with chords. But not two-handed songs, really. I can't go really like this. I just play the same chord with both hands in different places or something. The guitar I'm pretty good at. I mean, I just play rhythm guitar, but so it's not like fancy. Alright, let's see what we'll play. Guess I play Gregory in Disguise. I gotta plug in the guitar right. I'm gonna use the power of electricity. Seems like that Rachel was taking more Adderall. 2 days in a row. That's gonna lead to a rough crash, I'm afraid. Hopefully it doesn't get too rough. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. First his eyes, he doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. First his eyes, he doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men. Always telling them, but every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again, he is denied the chance to yell at them, because he's Gregory in disguise and in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. I first his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise and in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. I first his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them, but every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again, he is denied the chance to yell at them, until the bridge brings a new approach. Sneakily, he'll try to encroach up to get the chance to yell at them. He's Gregory in disguise, and in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. Averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, and in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive. Averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. So that's a song I wrote. Thanks, Winston's mom. Let's see, I can play something. I can play another one more. I think I'll play. This is in tune, really. No, it's not. This guitar's got a built-in tuner right here. It's convenient. The first guitar, I didn't get this guitar that long ago, a couple years ago. And it's the first guitar I've ever had that has this. Let's see. That's better. Yes, much better. Okay. Every life lived reaches a time when the road splits in two. There are times, dark times, times of despair, times when it's hard to feel good. That's when I'll look for my sack full of solvency and that satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Every life lived reaches a time when the road comes to an end. When I'm there, will there be anybody else around? Or will I travel all alone? That's when I look for my sack full of solvency and that satchel. Now nothing but bone. Yeah, that satchel all filled with home. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of helpful goods. Satchel of course of that song, sandwiched in a live one makes it a big hole. Over the course of that song, went from 10 people here to 4. So I guess that says it all. And I think the reason is because it's just not a very good way to present a song. Just an instrument and a voice. It's not going to be particularly compelling. Especially when it's just me. When Rachel's singing with me, I think it's got a little bit more, like, pop to it. Put this chord back. Put the guitar away. The thing is, I genuinely do have a lot of faith in the quality of the best of my songs. I have a hard time believing that I'm wrong about that, you know. I'm gonna let it die here. Bone, you have a good night. You too. Why is that not scrolling quite all the way down? That's weird. Oh, there it goes. Hey, CJ the Twin, how you doing? CJ the Twin says lemon squeeze. Thank you, Herb. I really appreciate it. By the way, I didn't get around to reading the chat yet. Thanks for your kind words. I appreciate it a great deal. I am probably getting ready to wind down, but I'm not going to end the stream quite yet. Not sure what else. There was some other kind of like chore thing. I already took that fourth trash can out to the street. I think it's time to walk around outside. Walk around the house and consider the night. Let's consider the night. I'm turning off the lights inside because when I go outside, I want it to be dark. Anyway, it feels like things are a little more lively than they have been in a while. You know, it's good for me to make long form videos. It's good for my, especially like typology stuff. Like making long form video, like the thing about me getting wood. Well, I was disappointed in that because I always intended it originally to be a short. Somehow I ended up making it all too long, and I don't know. I just feel like I fumbled the ball on that one. My workflow, my work process It's such that, like, I ended up getting influenced by some irrelevancies. Like, I wanted to use this, some of this loops of piano I had. So I opened it up, imported it into the track, and it turned out to be like 4 minutes and something. And I was like, oh, well, I could just cut this parts here, and then it would be the same length automatically. I wouldn't have to do it. Like that's NI ignoring, right? You have a vision here to begin with, Eric, that did not involve having a long form video, but a longish short. And instead, now what have you done? And it feels like the whole thing's done and uploaded before I even have a chance to consider other options. I'm kind of hungry. I wonder if I should eat this pizza meal. Pizza meal sounds kind of good. It just takes 3.5 minutes. Just takes 3.5 minutes in the drain. That's all that stands between me and pizza meal. Three and a half minutes. That's a short time for cooking. Well, you know, I'm hopeful that I really get back into the flow of things. It feels like I am getting back into the flow. I know that there's an ebb and flow with the Adderall as well, obviously, but you know, there was a long stretch of months there where when I'd be on Adderall, I still wouldn't get anything that I'd consider productive done. Yeah, well, one of the large segment has pizza in it, and what makes it a meal is that the small segment has macaroni and cheese. Because you see, Winston's mom, if it didn't have the macaroni and cheese, it wouldn't be pizza meal. It would just be pizza. See what I'm saying? I guess I left this light on. Sorry, moths. I didn't mean to leave that light on. I know how lights cause you confusion and distress. Now we don't know which way to fly. Somebody left the light on. Should I fly left or up or north or what? I don't even know. Oh, moths. I found your fatal weakness. Well, we did it. Remember when I said we were going to walk around the house? We've made it back to the front door already, so we did it. We deserve a reward, such as pizza meal. There we go. I didn't even need this flashlight. I am going to remember to turn off the light on the back, so you don't need to worry about that. I'm going to go do it right now. I can put down this coffee cup. I don't want any more coffee right now. I just drink water. Light in the back, turn off now. If you don't think so, wow, wow, wow. I should also lock this door. Because that's where I eat pizza meal and the stream, and then shortly thereafter I'm going to go to bed. And hopefully I will sleep the slumber of 1,000 angels. Yeah, I can sleep the slumber of 1,000 angels if you're in my dreams. I can sleep the slumber of 1,000 angels. What does it mean? Hot. I can't help but think that I should have, for my life's work, written musicals. I don't really think musical theater per se is an especially cutting edge art medium, but would have been a good job for me. Well, it would be a good job for me now. Probably not. It's taken me a long time to learn to hone in on the right ideas and stuff. It's not as though being a debate coach was a bad job for me. That was also an excellent job for me. I'm sure if I had written musicals, I would be saying now, I should have been a debate coach. Okay, I've got the food. I still didn't get the water though. So let me get that next. Yeah, well, I mean, you're never too old for after school snack style meal. I feel like right now is after school time for me. I might as well enjoy a snack. And when I'm done eating, I'm going to wrap this up. I've live streamed a lot today. This obviously isn't a very big meal. It's
Have you heard about social media?
hmm.
There's child. I just heard about these child influencers.
That pizza is not very good.
Like a child does not need to be an influencer.
I'm not especially like. I don't have high expectations here. I'm not expecting this to be a trip to Italy in my mouth. But this pizza is pretty bad. It's about as terrible as pizza gets. I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to eat, but I'll take another couple bites. Mac and cheese is pretty good. You know, it's warm. It's satisfying going down the gullet. It warms your esophagus. It tastes like comfort food. The pizza, on the other hand, tastes like a terrible mistake. Hmm. I mean, it's clearly food. It's not like, it doesn't fail to be what it says it is, but it's among the worst pizzas I've ever had. The thing is, I almost never get frozen pizzas at the store. When we get these meals, we never get pizza, but we do sometimes get Mama Celeste frozen pizzas, which are super cheap and not good, but those are way better than this pizza. That's how bad this pizza is. I'm a mixed martial artist. You mix a little bit of Muay Thai with just a smidge of karate, plus a sprinkling of Taekwondo, and 1/2 cup of wrestling, and you've got MMA. Don't forget Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. That's an important one as well. That was kind of like the first kind of dominating strategy in old school MMA. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu took the world by storm then. That's why I decided to travel deep into the Amazon to find a tribe of natives who were the true origin people of Jiu Jitsu. I learned all their fancy techniques. Before long, I could turn invisible, shoot fire from my hands, all kinds of things. So then I come back from fighting the UFC, and Dana White's all, no fire allowed. I really felt like I had wasted my time. I'm not gonna lie. No invisibility allowed either. Because supposedly people want to see the fights. That's improvised MMA themed comedy for you. Which I'm sure is on your bucket list. So you go ahead and check it off now. This pizza has a lot of gall calling itself a pizza. It is not good. Well, you know what the French say. Italy be damned. That's what I have to say about that pizza. Still, yeah, I guess I'll try to finish it. Because I am kind of hungry. It's so rubbery. Well, it really is not good at all. But it's also not like offensively bad, it's just rubbery and like the pieces of pepperoni on it are really hard to bite into. They're like little rocks. Like someone ordered a pizza and they said, "What toppings do you want?" And they said, "Rocks." You sure? Yeah, can you get some pebbles from outside or whatever? Okay. Okay. I'm not eating any more of that pizza. Goodbye. See you later, pizza. Not gonna get that particular, variety of banquet meal again. Alright, so I think we're gonna wrap it up, call it a night. Love you all, thanks for being here. And don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Alright.